Hello. Hi. There's rustling in the woods around me, and I don't know if it's a homeless person or a bird. Alright, hi. I'm Lee. Hi. I'm Lee. Alright. Most of you are already my followers on Instagram. 9 out of 10. And this video is probably only gonna get like 60 views. Which is alright. Not mad about it. Because 1 out of 60 of you are gonna be like, damn, that girl got a point. And I'm be like, yeah. So, even if just one of you is like, damn, girl got a point, that's cool. That's cool. That's fine. That's great. Anyways, hi, I'm Lee. Do I have a nice camera to film this on? Yes. Am I still filming off of my iPhone? Yes. I moved the camera like 5 feet. I found money. I'm gonna leave it for the homeless people. I feel like 90% of humanity has some sort of mental health disorder. 90% of humanity is also in financial crisis. Most of us, individuals in the middle class, even if your family's kind of well off, therapy, it's expensive. And medical insurance, yeah, but if you're in your early 20s, 9 out of 10, you probably don't have medical insurance. And if you do, how much are you paying for it? And if you do, does it cover meds? Does it cover therapy? My point is, healthcare is not exactly accessible to everyone. A lot of what I'm about to say might be controversial. Very aware of that. I have an open mind. So if you have different beliefs, that's cool. That's great. But this is my own experience. This is what I've been through personally. Back in my high school years, I would say like 2018, 2019, I mean, even 2017, really like a lot of my childhood, I struggled with my mental health. I struggled with severe anxiety that spiraled and got worse and got worse. And I eventually developed, a disorder. You don't really need a healthcare professional to know that something's wrong with your body. Your body will innately tell you one way or another. So if you feel scared and panicky at literally life, if you're fucking terrified to go in a grocery store like I was, like that, there's something wrong with that. That's not normal. That's not okay. That's not. You should be able to sustain like encounters with everyday society without feeling petrified. I had severe generalized anxiety disorder, I had a panic disorder. I was getting so nervous to the point where my stomach was sick and I was throwing up. My IBS was terrible. I couldn't keep food in my stomach. I couldn't go to the grocery store. I personally do not believe in modern day pharmaceuticals. And I'm not talking about I'm also not very well educated in this because I never looked into it. I never really sought after finding a drug to help me maintain my own emotions. And I dealt with my anxiety in very toxic ways growing up. Illness can be transformed, not just with a prescription, although the medication may put a cover, like a film, over your painful thoughts, but it's not really you. You're essentially under the influence. And what these medications do is adjust chemical imbalances that are in your psyche. But did you know? Did you know there's a way to do that without the medication? One of one of the most awe-striking things about the human body to me is that we have this innate ability to heal ourselves most of the time. I mean, like, literally, that's why we have a cast put on us, is because, like, it's not like we take some medicine to make our bones mend back together. They just do that. Our body has the ability to literally fucking heal itself. And the cast is just so that it heals in the right place and our bones don't continue to grow together again in a misformed way, or in a disformed way, sorry. But and the thing about the human body is it intrinsically wants what's best for you. It's why we sweat when we're hot and why we shiver when we're cold. Your body has these innate responses to stimuli, and in order to, you know, see what's going on, see what your body needs, you have to pay attention to the things that are happening to your body. And this has to do with mental health too. It doesn't have to do with just like, oh, I have a tummy ache, maybe I have a bug. Like I'm literally shitting myself. Maybe I have a stomach bug. I don't know. It can be literally anything. Literally anything. From a cold to I feel depressed today. And a lot of us, when we feel depressed or sad, it's like, oh, let me invalidate my emotions. Who cares what I feel, because I don't know, this person in the past invalidated my emotions, so I'm going to invalidate my own emotions. What do you do when you have a cold? You do things to make yourself feel better. What do you do when you're depressed? Do you shut it off? Do you invalidate your own emotions by saying, oh, I can just shut off my emotions, I can just turn off my feeling, I can just drink the sadness away. I can take this pill and then not think about it? Or are you assessing and understanding what is going on with your body? A lot of where our imbalances are driven from is so deep in our psyche, in a place stored called the subconscious. Everyone's childhood varies. Everyone has a different past, a different experience, and depending where yours lied, has to do exactly with who you are today. When we're kids, we don't comprehend or understand anything that's happening to us. Our brain is still developing. And because of that, we innately have trigger responses and trauma responses to things that we don't understand. And what the subconscious mind does is, after instilling a belief for so long, after believing something for so long, we become almost convinced. I'm not a therapist. I like to study psychology, but I'm also not a psychologist. It's just from my own experience and what I've been through personally, I've fucking transformed as a human being. And I'm not gonna make it all fruity and happy-go-lucky and tell you that it's easy and that you just need to meditate and say some fucking affirmations and mantras and then your whole life will change. Like, no. I've had the worst roller coaster of highs and lows and mistakes and hell on earth and confusion and, genuinely just not knowing what is the right mode of action. But luckily I kept my head in the right place, and I kept a journal, and I continued to keep track of my mental processes. And when you come from a very fucked up background, and you come from a very fucked up childhood, eventually it's like, all right, do I want to remain in this place of absolute depression, or do I want to fix it? It's up to you at some point whether you're going to stay in this mindset or you're actually going to push to change it. Because if you don't actually take initiative to changing your mental processes, you're just going to remain the same. And the only thing that's going to get rid of those pains, those triggers, those responses, those emotional stimuli is assessing them, not running away from them. There's this process that you go to. Some people call it spiritual processes of enlightenment. You can really go with any religion, from a Christian being accepting Jesus into one's heart, or a Buddhist reaching enlightenment, or it goes with any religion. But in reality, like, it's all connected. you can try to be biased about your belief system, but in reality, we all technically believe the same thing. And if you understand spiritual scripture, then you basically have the keys to the universe. Because we're humans, all right? This is a human experience, but we're not supposed to be like, when people say there's a simulation and we're in this simulation, all it means is get off your fucking phone, get off your fucking TV. I can't stress it more. You're wasting time. This is my off day, right? I'm not at work. I'm not at school. I'm on spring break. What am I doing? I'm filming. I woke up. I went to a coffee shop and I journaled. I didn't take today and sit in my bed. I'm like, oh, I'm relaxing. I'm going to watch TV. No, no. Because productivity, like, you only have a certain amount of time throughout the day. Don't waste it. What are you doing? Get off your TV. What is Netflix going to do to solve your fucking problems other than just distract you from them? I say TV because, with my own experience, when I did have anxiety, coming home from work and turning on my TV was like the best feeling ever. I would either play Call of Duty. I don't know. I'd get on Xbox, I'd play video games, or I'd watch a Netflix show and like 5 episodes deep, and Netflix would be like, "Are you still watching?" And then I'd press the continue watching, and then just feel this like sudden guilt inside of me, like, what else could I be doing right now? And when you get in that rut, I remember being in a rut where it was like every day felt the same. I would go to work, I would get off at like 5:30, I would cook dinner, I would sit and play a video game for hours, and then I would go shower, and then I would go in my bed, watch Netflix, and get high until I fell asleep. That was every fucking day for me. That was extremely depressing. Extremely. I hated my life. And once I changed that about myself, it was like a whole new version of myself just emerged. I was no longer living in a simulation. I woke up and was like, what the fuck? And I deal with the same thing with like YouTube, watching everybody enjoy their life on YouTube. Uh, I, I mean, I know you're watching this right now, but I'm trying to help you. Look, I just want you to know that I've been through it and I want to help you. Okay, that's all. That's literally all I'm trying to do. I have this like fucking passion to help people because like I've been there. I have sat through years and years worth of like, this is fucked up. I hate it here, but like there's a end of the tunnel. You can get through it. It's not, you're not going to stay stuck forever. This life is so worth living, and once you take all of these negative coping mechanisms from, they don't have to be as extreme as drugs and alcohol. It has to do with your social media scrolling. It has to do with your Netflix or your video games. Or, I mean, fuck, even literally just getting so stoned to the point where you can't feel shit anymore. Why wouldn't you want to feel? Hobbies, passions, it's all like universally written. Like you've known from a young age what you're here to do. You know what your natural abilities are. You know what your talents are. You know what you can pick up, get in this flow state. Like, psychology calls flow state basically when you're doing something and you're so focused. You're so fixated that hours could pass by and it literally feels like minutes. That is insane. That's almost like time doesn't even exist. But like when I skateboard personally, like I could be there 3.5 hours and it feels like I've been there 30 minutes. That's a flow state. Whenever I'm doing a portrait of a person, I like to do realism art. Whenever I'm doing stuff like that, 3 hours will go by and it feels like 45 minutes passed. When you're in this flow state, nothing else in the world around you seems to even exist. And for the psyche, that is so healthy because, you're not necessarily just distracting yourself, but you're benefiting yourself in a way. Why would you want to flow state watching a television show whenever you can flow state in something that's actually beneficial and will help improve your your mind, help improve your ability to do a certain talent that you have. And I stress this because, once again, this is only the first step. The first step in a process of alchemy that I've studied called transmutation. The first step is literally ridding yourself of every dependency that you're addicted to. Everything that, whenever these emotional triggers, whenever these negative feelings arise, you automatically are like, holy fuck, I really don't like the way that feels. I'm gonna run from it and then try to do something to distract myself. Don't distract yourself. Don't distract yourself. As soon as it literally pops up, do something about it. Go journal or talk to somebody. You look for the right outlets, and that's the crazy thing about life. It just provides it if you stick with it. And in the past, I struggled finding correct outlets. And somehow in my life today, I have amazing outlets, including myself, including my creativity, my hobbies. I don't know where I would be without journaling. I've been journaling for fucking like 11 years now. Like since I was 11 years old, and I'm 22 now. I've kept track of where I've been mentally for so long that whenever I go to assess, like, okay, why do I feel this way? I have record of where I've been. And I don't mean like when I journal about like, oh, today I went to school and this guy talked to me and he was really nice and he taught me a lot about blah, blah, blah. And my teacher said that I got a good grade and blah, blah, blah. And then I went home and then my girl called me up. No, that's not what I'm talking about. When I journal, I like to note how I'm feeling and why I think I feel that way, and how I can change it. It takes three. You have to understand, how you're feeling inside. You have to understand mentally why you're having this connection to what you're feeling inside. And then if it's good for you, you keep doing it. If it's bad for you, you start to kind of implement in your mind, like, okay, there's better ways that I can solve this problem. There's better behavioral habits that I can incorporate into my daily habit to change what I'm doing. All of this is just about what we practice. You can't preach something if you don't practice it. And if you need an escape, if you want to use escapism, please, for the love of God, do something good for yourself. Don't open up your phone and then scroll for hours. Don't watch a movie just to make yourself feel better. And if you have no creative bone in your body, if you can't write a song about it, if you can't make a piece of art about it, if you can't even journal about it, go talk to people. I don't care how scared you are. Go do it. You need it. People are beautiful, and it's all about the people you choose. So if you're choosing the wrong people, you'll know it. You'll know it in your gut. You'll feel it. You'll hear them, hear what they say. But there's so many people out there that if you just hear them out, if you just listen with an open mind, they will literally change your fucking life. So for me personally, when I was a kid, I would experience a trigger. I would get angry. And then as soon as I felt anger, that anger drove me to literally be numb. I would be in absolutely numb state. I would do self-harmful tasks. I'm not talking about like physically hurting my body, but I'm talking about like using modes of escapism in any form. Any way I could get away from it, I did. When we're kids, we have little knowledge and we lack experience, we lack emotional intelligence. When you instinctively respond to a triggering experience as a kid, you're going to subliminally associate that trigger with fear. And naturally, the brain wants to escape that. But what happens when we practice something? Anything you've ever practiced in your life, anything you've ever started off not really too good at, and then you put a lot of energy into practicing it, you got better, right? Every part of our body, every energy center we have, every little thing to do with being a human can be naturally exercised, from, the muscles to the brain. You got to view the brain as a muscle. And if you practice things, if you truly sit and every single day redirect yourself to better habits, better ways of being, better ways of living, eventually you're going to start to see a difference. And I'm not saying it's going to happen in days. It's not going to happen in weeks. It's not going to happen in months. It's going to take a long fucking time. But if you want to get unstuck, you have to start committing to it. You have to actually take initiative into changing yourself. So if you've been practicing the act of escapism your whole life, you're pretty damn good at it. I was pretty good. I was pretty damn good at it. I was great at it. And I tried it in every way, shape, and form. I did whatever I could to just escape how I felt inside. And a lot of the time, if you don't have help, if you don't have the right people surrounding you, and I can't stress this enough, be so cautious of the people that you have around you. Because a lot of the time, they are not for our better good. They'll just lead you into negative habits, and you have to put yourself first. You have to always put your well-being first. Because if you're struggling mentally, how are you ever going to benefit the world around you? How are you ever going to benefit the people that you love if you're struggling? You can't. You genuinely can't. Instead, you're just going to pour all of this painful energy into the people around you. You have to see it like a ball of energy, right? If you have this dark ball of energy, and you have a person that's also a dark ball of energy, it's just going to make that ball of energy a lot bigger. It's negative. But if you have this dark ball of energy and a person with a light ball of energy, then depending on how big your dark ball of energy is and how big their light ball of energy is, it's going to affect each other some way. I explained this to a friend of mine the other day. We were talking about, our perceptions of shows and like musical performances in the church. And the way I wanted to explain like churches and Christian churches, because I'm not against Christianity. Although I'm not a Christian, I still respect their point of view to some degree, which I can get into that later, my perception of Christianity. But you have a room full of people, and they all have this source of energy. They all have this little ball of energy inside of them. And let's say most of them are in a higher frequency, a higher form of a vibration, which I will also get into later on in videos. I'm literally just talking about the first step. Who you surround yourself with, if 90% of the room has this great, beautiful ball of light, great frequency, great energy, that other 10% in the room who has a darker energy is going to be literally given that energy. It's all being connected in the room. It's all being transferred. Energy cannot be created nor destroyed. It's only transferred. It's only converted. And so when these people of good light surround you, then you're also gonna feel that no matter where you're at, even if you're in the darkest place. If you're open, if you're receptive to it, you can endure that energy. So another big problem that I see, especially with my generation, is laziness. That is also an addiction. I find myself lazy too. But a big reason why we're so lazy is because, like I said, this ball of energy. Every little bit, every little experience, every little encounter, interaction you have, that ball of energy just gets smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller. And whatever you're putting it to, is it beneficial to you, or is it sucking you dry and giving you no output? Is it benefiting you, or is it destroying you? How does it play a role in your growth as a person? So, when you find yourself tired or lazy, or you find yourself just like, mentally, physically, emotionally exhausted, you have to kind of weigh out, like, what am I putting my energy into? And even things that seem like they're full of rest and seem like they're not very energy draining, even a conversation, every little thing you do takes energy. Because when you're using your brain, when you're working your mental health, you're using energy. When you're thinking, you're using energy. So if you're thinking about a boy that doesn't like you back, I had that problem in the past. Like, I would sit and wonder about a guy who just kept leaving me on red, or a guy who just kept telling me that he was going to hang out with me, and then he would ghost me. And I would sit and wonder about my own self-worth. Like, that took so much of my energy. Nobody deserves that. So if you're going through a similar process or something of the sort, like, are you focusing on you, or are you focusing on somebody's perception of you? I also want to talk about the addiction to sex, lust, just external validation. Like, where is your focus? What are you thinking about? And if you're mindlessly scrolling on Tinder, which I've had a problem in the past, worrying about, who can give me attention. I mean, are you trying to seek that attention from somewhere externally, or are you providing that to yourself? Are you so worried about other people's perceptions, or are you worried about your own perception of self? This is an addiction. This is a mental process that is extremely draining, that we find ourselves trapped in. It's a problem. It's not okay. Being a workaholic, are you addicted to making money? Nothing wrong with making money, but do you have time for anything else in your life? Or do you solely make time to pay the bills? Why are your bills so high? What are you doing to make your bills so high? Are you in a financial hardship? How important is it to get out of that financial hardship? I could get into specifics. I can continue to get into specifics. If you genuinely have a problem and you need to reach out to somebody, like, I'm not a special person. Like I said in the beginning, like, if this reaches out to one person, like, that's why I'm making this video. I genuinely just want to help people. And I'm not perfect at all myself. I'm still learning. I'm still going through shit. I'm still, working on my own mental health. It's not easy. But, 9 out of 10, I find myself happy, and I see my progression. I see my growth. And if I can see that, I want to encourage others. So if you need to reach out and talk about something specifically, like, I'm here. You've probably found me through Instagram. Like, fucking reach out, dude. Even if you don't know me. Like, I'm not a spooky ass person. Like, I'm making these videos to help people. Please let me help you. But I'm going to continue. Because I feel like, specifics, we can work that out per individual. But, the point I'm getting at is we have these forms of mental running, and we guard up and we become cold, robotic versions of ourselves who praise anger and sadness and encourage toxicity to feel better about our own shitty behaviors. Why does our generation glorify depression? Why does our generation glorify sadness and being dark, or being, I don't give a fuck, I'm just gonna fuck it? Like, come on, man. Come on. Like, you're gonna look at yourself in 10 years, right? You're gonna be in your 30s, and you're gonna look back in your 20s and be like, damn, why did I waste that time? You don't want to waste that time. You really don't. Whatever route you decide to go in life, cool, fantastic, happy for you. But if you're not assessing certain things mentally, and if you're not growing mentally, spiritually, emotionally, then you're literally fucking stagnant no matter how much you fucking grow in a company, no matter how much, school you go through, no matter how smart you are. There's a balance that has to be literally whole inside of you in order for you to genuinely grow and make an impact on the world. Whatever you decide to choose. Sharpening our focus. Getting away from laziness, getting away from basically just distracting ourselves with the shit that's easy. It's vital. Living a distracted life, it takes away from reality, our human experience. Why watch a movie when your life is literally the fucking movie? Like, seriously, take something outside of your addictions. I mean, you may not like to read books, but reading a book is fucking fantastic, And whenever you find yourself drifting off in your thoughts, reroute. Just do it. I don't really read books, but it doesn't mean that I don't enjoy them whenever I do get into a good book. Just find your particular book you like and fucking read, man. Do a puzzle. Go for a walk. If you have no hobbies like making music or making art or crocheting, I don't fucking know what people do. There's so many things that people do. I don't even crochet, man. I like to write and make music and shit like that. I like to do art. I don't know. There's options outside of running to your local Walmart and buying a puzzle. Personally, I'd lose my mind trying to do a puzzle. I don't like puzzles. I like puzzles, but like real life puzzles, not like board puzzles. These all require my undivided attention. Whenever I'm in that flow state, this is what I'm doing. I'm doing my art. I'm doing my writing. I'm fucking writing a song. I'm working on my vocals. I gotta be focused on what I'm singing and where my voice is in my chest and my head. My point is to teach yourself how to focus outside of distractions. Teach yourself how to focus outside of your addictions. Focus on something that is actually good for you. And once again, this is just the first step. All the steps can be done throughout the same process, throughout the same time. But if you're so caught into this step's going to take you a minute. But it's the first step. So if you want to change, you should start now. Reach out if you need to. Bye. Oh my God.